Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, where I tell people's stories and try to understand and solve their problems and family issues. Today, I have two new stories for you. The first story is a long one, about OP's friends and family pressuring OP to support and be a part of a love child's life. Long story short, my now ex-girlfriend was passing off another man's kid as mine. I believed it for nearly 2 years, until certain details came out from people in our social circle that led me to suspect she had been unfaithful around the time the kid would have been conceived. I confronted her, and after initially denying it, she eventually broke down and admitted that the kid wasn't mine. I want to put this all behind me to whatever extent possible. I've moved out of our apartment already. Lease expires in 4 months, and I'll pay my share till then, but that's it. I've mostly cut off contact with my ex and her friends and family. But I also adamantly do not want to be involved in the kid's life anymore. And even some of my friends and family who consoled me when I found out think I have a responsibility to go on being his father. It's not like I blame the kid for how he was conceived, but ever since I found out the truth, it feels like every happy memory I've had from the last 2 years is poisoned. I can't look at him without feeling like a stupid, gullible schmuck. And I feel sick and angry when I think of the thousands of dollars I've spent on him so far. Money I could have saved for a car and a mortgage, which I gladly spent on what I thought was going to be my wife and our child. I'm willing to spend every last penny I have on attorney's fees to see what my options are to disentangle myself from this relationship, or at least to limit the bleeding. When I told my ex about this, she begged me not to go through with it. But as awful as it sounds, I just don't feel any love for this kid anymore. Like a light clicked off in my head. I told her to get the biological father to be his dad, but she says that guy is unreliable and not capable of emotionally or financially supporting a child, which made me question why that's my problem. She chose to bear this guy's kid. Nobody supports me in this, not even my parents, which I understand. They're distraught because the kid they thought was their first grandchild is in fact not. But they're not the ones who are going to be paying for him. What happens when I meet a decent woman and want to start a real family of my own with her? Am I going to have to keep supporting another man's kid at the same time? Give him the money and care that I should be spending on my real children? I don't yet know if it's legally feasible for me to disentangle myself completely from this kid and his mother. But am I really so crazy for wanting to do so? I think people who are telling OP he needs to support a child who is not his should go and support that child themselves. Of course, the kid is not guilty for what his mother did, and I'm sorry he is in this situation, but it's not OP's child, and he is not in obligation to support that kid or be in his life. But if OP signed the birth certificate, he may need a lawyer to correct that. Some places make someone pay child support if they don't contest paternity within X amount of time. Let's hope he didn't sign it, and if he did, he falls within the time to contest. I'll try to be brief. I'm still fuming. My husband, male 29, comes from a big family. 4 brothers, 2 sisters, raised by a single mother for the most part. The youngest of his siblings is Jay, male 19. In the 6 years I've known Jay, he's always seemed awkward and a little too quiet and socially inept. I have always had a special fondness towards Jay because he's such a sweet person, and I was a little awkward growing up myself. Jay has been struggling with some classes, and I've been helping him. My husband took me on a special dinner night to thank me for this, and it was there that he revealed why Jay sometimes struggles. Apparently, their dad, who is now dead, left their mom over accusations that Jay was a product of infidelity. He was not, but their dad was super paranoid about infidelity and treated his wife like property. The father started A Jay when Jay was as young as 2. B him. He left shortly thereafter and passed away a few years after that. The A didn't stop there. My mother-in-law picked up where the father left off. The B and A is too graphic and unspeakable for me to detail it here. It's disgusting and inhumane. My husband said that all the siblings took part, including himself. When I could no longer take listening to the details and the extent to which my husband participated, I asked him why and how he could do those things. He went into a full-on defensive mode when he saw how furious I was and said they were told he was not their brother. Like, that's a valid excuse. He said the family buried it and doesn't talk about it. Then Jay started defending himself at about 13, and the A stopped then. I asked him if anybody had apologized to Jay. He said he doesn't need an apology, that he just needs to forget, and in time he will. Since that night 3 weeks ago, I have been unable to affectionate in any way towards my husband. It's like I went from totally in love to totally repulsed by him. He's suddenly somebody I don't even know. I honestly don't know why Jay has chosen to stay around all these animals, and I'm disgusted with myself for marrying one. Last weekend, we had a backyard cookout, as we often do. Most of the siblings were there. Jay knocked over a pitcher of iced tea. He's a little shaky and a little clumsy, but it was an accident, obviously. My mother-in-law went off and started berating him and called him an idiot and a few other names. She started to berate him about his hands and how they shake so much and told him to get control of it and stop shaking. I gave my husband a look like, hey, jump in there. He didn't do anything. I lost it. I went completely crazy on her and told her that maybe if she didn't be him and other things. At this point, my husband jumped in and told me to take it easy on his mom. I told her to leave, and she told everybody to leave with her. Jay only stayed because I practically begged him to stay, but she told him to leave too. I tried to talk to my husband about what had happened and why I went off. He told me to mind my own business about his family business. I told him to leave at this point. He reluctantly left and has been calling and texting me non-stop to forgive him. In my opinion, if OP's husband was remorseful about it and genuinely felt it was wrong, then I could see OP forgiving him. However, this isn't the case. I would forgive him for what he did as a kid because, obviously, his mom resented Jay for their dad leaving and programmed the kids to A Jay. However, seeing as now, as a functional adult, OP's husband refuses to apologize or even really acknowledge how damaging he was to Jay, and even defended mom when she went to have another go. It's time to boot this man out of OP's life for good. However, I would also get the authorities involved. If OP tells her husband to hit the curb, then those feelings of abandonment will resurface, and then this will just become another relationship that Jay ruined in that family's eyes. OP should kick her husband out and offer for Jay to stay with her if she has the means. Edit. Finally heard back from a friend I had emailed. She's a counselor. She told me I actually victimized Jay by bringing up the A that Friday night. She says I should have simply stood up for him for what happened that night. She says I should apologize to him for that, and I will tonight. She also said it's probably going to be the first and only apology Jay ever gets that's even remotely related to all the A he suffered. So be ready for anything. I'm picking him up at his friend's house tonight. His mom kicked him out over what happened. Everything is happening so fast now. My parents have stepped up big time and offered to move him in. My dad is going to teach him how to drive and help him get his driver's license. He's going to give him his old car that nobody drives. Now we just have to convince him to accept our help. I know my kids will be fine. Right now, I'm in full get Jay help mode. Oh, I almost forgot. I spoke to my husband on the phone finally. He thinks he's going to talk his way back. I asked him why his mom kicked out Jay. He said he had no idea what I was talking about. He didn't know. Jay told me that my husband has been staying at his mom's and he was there when Jay was kicked out. I will file divorce. No chance I'm taking him back. Edit. Some people have asked about the details of the A. I left them out to spare you. Something inside you breaks when you hear the details of what they did to Jay. I wanted people to read this and not have to visualize it. Horrible and tragic are not big enough words. Edit. Just to add some clarity. No, he has no remorse, nor does he think an apology is needed. He also feels no therapy is needed for anybody, just time to heal. But I will get therapy for myself, as well as try to get more answers. Also, yes, my dad is pretty awesome. I knew he would spring into action if I just talked to him. My mom is great too. I knew Dad would get her to sign on as well. They like Jay, and they had reservations about me marrying my husband, but that was for other, seemingly petty reasons at the time. I swear on my life that I did not know my husband and his family had this secret. I only knew that they all seemed normal, but Jay was clearly damaged. He is very sweet-natured, but you can tell he has endured some things. I always wanted to get close to him and try to understand him, but I never would have guessed. I filed for divorce after a few conversations with my husband. He blames Jay for our divorce and became very threatening. At one point, he said he would turn and walk away from me and our two kids if I didn't stop the divorce process. I called his bluff and told him, "Good, go. We would be better off." In my state, it takes 6 months to finalize divorce with children involved. I have sole custody, and he never filed for joint custody, which is good. Now on to Jay. There's so much, but I'll try to be brief. He's in therapy and lives with my parents. He's sticking it out with school even though he has anxiety and depression. He's fighting really hard to heal. Sometimes he has setbacks and is just like a broken down little boy. He has a very strong will and spirit, and sometimes I wonder how far he would have gone in life, even at 19, if the animals hadn't totally broken him. His siblings and mom still try to contact him and guilt him for not staying with his mom to take care of her as she ages. They all agreed that Jay's life would be to be the mother's caretaker, as they all go on to live their own life as they wish. He actually feels guilty about not fulfilling that, shockingly. He has a long way to go before he realizes that his life is his to do as he wishes. They don't have his phone number anymore, but they email him. My dad got him a new phone cause his mom would call him and berate him and guilt him. It seemed like every conversation with her set him back 2 steps. She still knows how to crush him, sadly. I wish she didn't have that power over him. I've never wished a D penalty on somebody like I do on her. He's dating a girl, and I'm scared she might hurt him, break his heart. But my dad is more encouraging of that and has to remind me to not overprotect him. Jay has become very close with my mom. He drives her grocery shopping and enjoys doing that stuff for her. My dad taught him how to drive in like 1 week. He is about to go take his driving test for his driver's license. He's still on a learner's permit. There are a lot of positive things going on, but progress is very slow, and sometimes it's like watching a clock. It just seems like he's standing still in terms of anxiety and depression. I can't say too much about all that's going on, but I can say that my parents have an attorney and are going through the adoption process. I wanted this to be a more upbeat and positive update, but honestly, Jay struggles a lot. Law enforcement is now involved because some of the physical is more recent than I thought, just from his mom. He has a few scars, and he has broken bones that never healed properly because he never got medical attention. Protection orders are likely to be granted. If they are, then, according to the investigators, charges will almost be inevitable. That part of it I can't say much about, but I can say that Jay is willing to go forward with that process for now, under the guidance of his therapist. But we have been warned that he may choose to back off later. Though one cop said there is a point of no return for the DA even without Jay's cooperation. I really hope Jay's family will be punished for what they did. I'm also very happy that there are such wonderful people in the world like OP and her parents. Bless them.